Hi!
Hi!
Today we're going to talk about translating or not translating from MBTI into Socionics because there have been seemingly some interest online for people who are into MBTI to come into Socionics, and there is a lot of talk about it, and so we wanted to discuss whether it works, why it doesn't work, and why it's a better. It's a great idea if you want to come from MBTI to Socionics. Just do not translate from one to another. Don't expect them to correlate. Don't expect them to match. Don't expect the descriptions to make sense when you try to, the similar terms, different descriptions kind of situation. And so basically why it's even a question is because obviously MBTI and Socionics uses seemingly similar terminology. Like, for example, MBTI cognitive functions sound and look very similar to Socionics aspects, information metabolism aspects. But obviously, even if you look at their cognitive function, their information metabolism aspects, there are some differences even in wording there. But the definitions of them are completely different. If you take, for example, MBTI's descriptions of affects or feeling in MBTI and Socionics affects, FE and FI, you will they both will translate, look like, not really translate, but look like FI and Socionics. So there is obviously already, MBTI doesn't cover the same territory there. And so obviously, that is at the ground level of the theory. If you expand that, you end up with obviously the whole thing being completely way off. And same goes, I know that MBTI, and I think it's recent, but got the cognitive stack, right? So they have some sort of model, but the model is basically about just okay, here's the aspects you use in this kind of order, and they're the first ones are more conscious, the least ones are less conscious, and et cetera, et cetera. And that actually brings up an interest because Socionics has a really, really nice, well-structured model to it, and it doesn't just go with okay, here is from your strongest to your weakest aspect, or from the most of the most recognized by the by the type to the least recognized by it. It's what is happening in Socionics is that you basically have a very each of the slots called functions in Socionics has a very specific meaning, which is basically how things function, how aspect will function in the type. And it's a very, very extensive description, which makes Socionics very TI theory in itself. And TI in Socionics understanding of the word, very structured, very logically consistent. Well, at least it's supposed to be. And that's where we get to also another interesting point, that Socionics obviously there is a lot of work in understanding, and there is a lot of disagreement within the theory, and a lot of that, I think, it's speaking of MBTI, at least some of that is coming from attempts to blend the two, which is quite unfortunate, and attempts to shoehorn MBTI understandings into Socionics model. Or, again, it's probably happening a lot because people are coming from MBTI with that understanding, and they keep that understanding, and they try to apply it, but, it's okay, I understand this is a slightly different, lettering here, but I know what FE is, for example. And then they just run with this and try to merge the two theories that way. And it's happening also probably naturally. It's not even someone is coming and saying, oh, I want to merge them. It's just because people already have that, basically MBTI bias kind of thing. They come into Socionics, and they bring that with them. So, one of the things when you come to Socionics from MBTI, just forget MBTI. Just don't try to come with that understanding. It will really help to understand the Socionics better. That was something else. Oh, yes, another thing. One of the Socionics in itself, there were people also trying to simplify it that way, which is unfortunate. Even dimensionality, which looks kind of similar to cognitive stack in its ideas of, okay, let's go from strongest to weakest and from weakest to strongest again. And let's just, we, in our understanding of Socionics, we do not subscribe to that. And this is an attempt to make it really simple, which is, again, why I think MBTI has such a like huge following while Socionics are just growing, because it's much harder, like it's much higher learning curve. Socionics takes time to understand. MBTI is very, like, because of its vagueness, it's easier to assume and it's easier to apply, which makes it dangerously close to that test, that the typology test, when people were asked questions and then they got the results, and the result was the same for everyone, and everyone agreed with the result because it's so easy to read into certain texts your own understanding. Well, Socionics isn't doing that, and Socionics has a strength of potentially being falsifiable because of the vulnerable aspect that is always a blind spot that cannot be there present. So it has much better potential to be coherent theory.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
But yes, so basically I think Socionics, at least again our understanding of Socionics, and I think here it's funny because we are both T vulnerable types, and we have to rely on one logic, but that means that we really, really, really care about stuff being coherent, logically. And which in a way helps because, in an odd way, because when someone comes to, for example, with MBTI, you can have vague stuff because of, like, let's say, disproportionate, like, representation of certain types, disproportionate representation of certain aspects. It can still be useful in certain situations. So when you come with T, you can still go with, like, okay, this works for me in this situation. But the fact that it doesn't, like, cover wider spectrum, it's actually not it's not truthful, it just works for this situation, is something that T can overlook for the sake of it just working. And we will not do that. Yeah, anything you want to add to this?
No, it's just that, I guess, our version of Socionics, we really do emphasize the fact that it's meant to be a logically consistent theory, internally consistent, which we think a lot of Socionists actually struggle with. And yeah, so whereas MBTI is not meant to be an internally consistent system, it's meant to be sort of this, I guess you could say, deliberately fake theory, so that people can relate to it the most. It has a different sort of methodological basis, I would say, and the intentions are different as well. So yeah, in that sense, you can't really translate between the systems.
But I do recommend coming and trying Socionics. Yes. It's great fun because you will discover. One of the fun things about when I get people, like new people, and I talk to new people and I explain Socionics, one of the fun things is to show, hey, you always thought that everyone is like this. This is just a common quote. It's not. Not everyone has, like, I don't know, for example, FI. Not everyone is about, like, cares about relationships, for example. Or not everyone cares about usefulness, which is a funny thing to break to people who are, because there are so many T values, people are just under impression. It's just a common, like.
It's like, why wouldn't you want things to be useful?
Yeah. So there are really fun things there. So do come, do try it. Sure. Try to check out our aspects videos, function videos, and to see, again, if you're coming from MBTI, you will see the differences there. And you can decide for yourself.
Sure. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Bye.